and welcome back to my channel, Comfy Cozy Edition, because it is Saturday. It is Saturday. I don't typically film on Saturday. However, I cannot stop gushing. So, what are we talking about today? Today we're having a little bit of a comfy, cozy chit-chat video about Call of Cthulhu, because I got to play Call of Cthulhu, and I very much hope that one day you get to play it too. So where did I play Call of Cthulhu? I played Call of Cthulhu yesterday on Teacup Dragon's Twitch channel. There will be a YouTube video available of it eventually. I do not know when that will come out because it was 5.5 hours, which is a long thing to edit. However, hopefully it will come out, and whenever it does come out, I will be able to inform you all and put a link in the doobly-doo down below to the one-shot. Yes. So, it is Call of Cthulhu. What is Call of Cthulhu? What is Call of Cthulhu, right? Call of Cthulhu is a horror/thriller TTRPG set in the 1920s. And in the 1920s, things are normal, things are regular, things are cool, things are completely and utterly correct until they're not. Until spooky ooky things start happening. It is all about the paranormal. It is all about the creeping behind closed doors. It's all about that kind of stuff. And it is completely normal to die in this campaign, in this game. It is completely normal to become insane in the game. It's normal. You know, it's not a super happy, fun, go lucky, I'm a hero on a hero's quest doing hero's things. No, you are not a hero. You are not a hero in any capacity. You're not a hero in any capacity. You are a normal everyday person. Normal, average, everyday person. Sometimes you can play someone who has a little bit of understanding of occult stuff, but for the most part, you are a normal, average, everyday person doing normal, average, everyday things when all of a sudden a cult comes in and it starts to disrupt your life, or it disrupts somebody else's life and you have to go investigate what happened to this person, which was in our case. So our DM was running a thing from a one-shot from a specific book. I do not remember the name of the book, but I will put the book in the doobly-doo down below. I will ask him and put it in the doobly-doo. And it was a very fascinating one-shot. He gave us a couple of options whenever it came to the one-shots. He said you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, but there's one that everybody was like, oh, which was the insane asylum, like dealing with an insane asylum. And everybody was like, oh, I like insane asylums. Insane asylums are so much fun. Let's do an insane asylum. And so we did this story where it's the 1920s, and one of our friends has checked himself into the insane asylum because he's been like trying seances and he was hearing things and like he was getting really spooked out on his own stuff. So he went into the insane asylum, checked himself in. Well, things are not as they seem. Not everything is great, and he needs out. He needs to get out. And so he sends a letter to our bowling club to get to our bowling club of, hey, get me out. And then immediately at the exact same time, we get a letter that says, everything's fine, it's cool, whatever, no problems, everything's good. And so it's like, oh, okay, something weird's going on here. Now here's the thing. Here's the tricky part about Call of Cthulhu. You understand that you are in an occult TTRPG, horror RPG, TTRPG. You understand that these things are existing around you and what might be going on and the dangers and all this stuff. Your player characters have no idea. This kind of stuff is not known. It's not like D&D where like cults are a thing, or like evil worship, you know, everybody knows that necromancy is bad. Like, it's like necromancy. What's necromancy? Like, nobody even knows. So I'm not going to tell you everything that happens in the one shot, but you know, as we progressed through the one shot, more and more fricked up happens to us and continues to happen to us. Almost as if a being is following us around, making happy accidents around us, but they're happy accidents for the being, not happy accidents for us. Like a pipe breaking and there being electricity that could electrify the water and like that kind of stuff. All of that was like oopsie doopsies. All of it was a grave mistake. I don't know how it happened. The wheel just jerked out, but it's a creepy crawly. It's a creepy crawly that's been doing this kind of stuff to you. Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you about the creepy crawly, and I'm not going to tell you what ended up happening, but I will tell you that we did end up dying. We did end up dying. All of us ended up dying. We got the worst timeline. We got the ultimate timeline, the worst timeline, where, we all got obliterated by a monster, essentially, is what happened. And then the monster was able to use the insane asylum for thousands of years, or hundreds of years, or whatever, or something like that. But the point is that we did die, and that's normal. That's normal. It is actually quite normal to die during Call of Cthulhu. Now, whenever it's in a campaign setting, I think it's more or less likely for you to die, but whenever it was the one shot, it was like we came into this with him being like, you are probably going to die. And I get that. We're fighting a giant monster and we're up against a bunch of insane asylum people. I get that's how that's gonna go down, you know? That makes sense to me. But yeah, we all ended up dying. It was a ton of fun though. So one of the things that I really, really liked about Call of Cthulhu, and one of the things that I think is really special about Call of Cthulhu, is the type of horror they lock in on. You know, there's a lot of TTRPGs that do a lot of horror. I mean, even D&D in some capacity does horror, although I always have said D&D is not the horror TTRPG for you. It is not good for horror. There's something really, really special about the kind of horror that Call of Cthulhu locks in on. I mean, obviously it is very much influenced by the writer of Call of Cthulhu and what Call of Cthulhu, like the books that writer wrote. But man, that occult horror, it's good. It's spooky. It's good. And I said this during the game, but I maintain this. That is one of the hardest horror genres to create, because you need to create something that is occult, something that is spooky, something that is draining and disgusting and scary and makes you eep, but it has to be enough to be realistic so it doesn't kill your immersion. Hi, I'm a DC girly. I don't think I've ever expressed that before, but I watch a lot of DC and I participate in a lot of DC comics and stuff. The Joker is one of my least favorite characters in all of DC because so many people portray the Joker incorrectly. The Joker is insane. And yes, the Joker is going to be insane. But the insane that is actually like scary is not the tee-hee ha-ha. It's not that kind. It's the kind where it almost is reality, right? It balances precariously on this, like, is he insane? Is he not insane? And then he does something, you're like, oh, he's insane. But you have to balance it so well in between this reality and dystopia and society and this dystopia, so that the reader is invested and the reader doesn't check out. Because whenever a super crazy, silly Joker comes onto the screen, I immediately check out. I'm immediately like, it's Joker, you know, he's gonna say something wacky and crazy and stuff, and I'm not gonna, you know, it's kind of one of those things where immersion is really, really important. And as soon as you tip that line from spooky to silly, you kill the immersion, you kill the vibe. Call of Cthulhu straddles that line like it's its job. I mean, it is its job. It's what it's built for. But Call of Cthulhu straddles that line like insanely well. Of this is creepy and crazy and scary, but at the same time, could possibly be real, and so I'm believing it. Like, part of the reason why I loved what Teacup was doing so much was that he was every time we made a stride in understanding what was going on, the occult stuff of what was going on, something really bad would happen. Something really bad would happen around us, like a car crash, or like the bookshelf would fall on people, you know, all of that kind of stuff would happen around us. And it was just believable enough to be like, something's angry at you. Something's clearly angry at you. But it's not so unbelievable that, like, you know, an RPG comes out and doesn't, you know, an RPG comes out of nowhere and shoots up the, you know, it wasn't stuff like that. Like, it was very realistic. It was very real to me. And it actually made me so stressed out. And at one point during the one shot, I looked everyone in the eyes. I literally said, I look everyone in the eyes real fast. And I say, it feels like something's mad at us. And as soon as I did that, another bad thing happened. But yeah, no, it really felt like something was mad at us. And I really felt like I was intruding. And it was because of this ecosystem that Call of Cthulhu makes between the 1920s setting and the spooky stuff that is going on. There's just this beautiful ecosystem that if you just envelop yourself in that, you actually do get scared. You actually do, like, it is actually spooky. It's not easy peasy stuff. It's like hard. It's like difficult. It's like, oh wow. It was so beautiful to me to live in this trepidatious world of like, am I going to die? Are you going to die? Are they going to kill all of my family? Like, what's happening here? You know, and it was lovely. It was a really, really lovely world to live in. And I'm so happy that I got the experience to live in that world. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a video for me if I didn't talk about the mechanics of it, because mechanics do matter to me and mechanics are important. I do understand that Call of Cthulhu is a RP heavy TTRPG, and I do agree with that. However, there's a decent amount of mechanics going on in Call of Cthulhu that I actually enjoyed, I'm not gonna lie. So the first mechanic that I want to talk about is the D100 roll. All of your skills and attributes, if you want to call them that, are based off of D100s, and you get to choose 70, 60, 50, or 40 in all of these different attributes, and that's what you have to roll under in order to succeed. But then there's multiple versions to the success. Not only is there rolling a success, so if you roll under, say, a 50, if you roll under another number, then you get a hard success. And if you roll under another number, even lower, you get an extreme success. And based on what you do, not only can your mileage vary for your success, but you can cancel out the keeper's success. You can cancel out your keeper's success by getting a hard success and they get a success, so therefore yours wins. Now, the same is also true for the other way around. If the keeper gets a hard success and you just get a normal success, the keeper can outdo you. But I really liked the dynamic that was going on with the 3 levels of success. I think that is a really nice mechanic, in order to vary stuff up and put it into writing of varying stuff up, and also putting it, I feel like in D&D, we have this kind of, where it's like, oh, if you kind of fail, I'm not going to punish you as much as if you like roll a 2. If you roll a 2, I'm going to punish you hard. If you roll a 15, I'm going to punish you okay. If you roll a 16, then you succeed, but if you roll a 19, then you super succeed. I feel like we do this already in D&D. To have it written out into the character sheet, actually like written down in the character sheet, I really appreciated that. I really liked that they tried to vary up the successes while keeping true to the D100, because I believe it's always been a D100 roll, a percentile roll. But I believe they modified it in 7E. I've heard that 7E was very different than the original ones, but some stuff was still kept the same, and one of the things that was kept the same was the D100. So I really like that. I really like the list of abilities that they had. They were in alphabetical order, which is perfectly fine as long as you're not dyslexic, because I'm dyslexic, and so I was struggling to find what I was going for. That character sheet that I use, the character sheet that I use, is not necessarily great for people who have reading comprehension issues, because it's all one color, and it's very like linear with no lines to differentiate between the different columns, there's no lines to differentiate or anything to differentiate. So it's like, okay, does this one go over with this skill, or does it go over with this skill? And is this one in this spot or this spot? It was kind of difficult to be able to use the character sheet. If I could make the character sheet myself, what I would do is I would shadow every other line in the character sheet, and then on the second column I would flip the shadow so it shadows every other line in the opposite direction, so that you could see clearly what goes with what, where the end of what is, and you could also, my eyes would be able to find it faster. But I mean, that's a really minor complaint considering that I have dyslexia and the rest of the world doesn't, so it's not really something that really needs to be, I do think that I like the duality dice better than the percentage dice. I think it's going to be really hard to beat the duality dice, but I like both the duality dice and the percentage dice of Call of Cthulhu better than the D20 skill check that is in D&D. And the reason why is because it's baked in to have variance, and it's baked in to have, again, a successful fail or a failing success. Even in this sense of failing these rolls, there is a very bad there's a really bad failure, or just kind of failing, or just a little bit failing. Oh, also one of my favorite mechanics from the entire game that I totally forgot to tell you about. If you fail a roll, so let's say your goal is 50 and you roll a 53, you can take 3 points out of your luck score permanently and transfer them to the roll, so that the roll is a 50, so that the roll succeeds. But you still have to sometimes roll luck rolls. Luck rolls do exist. So it is in between for you if you want to succeed on this roll or keep your luck high. You can succeed on a lot of rolls, but if you do a luck roll, you're screwed. And a lot of times luck rolls end up being in places where you're going to be really screwed. So that is a fascinating decision to have to make in real time. I did end up using my luck a couple of times because I ended up rolling really, really well on my luck. But I will say, it is a delicious decision to have to make of like whether or not, it's like you don't know the consequences yet. You just know that you failed this roll and you're like, damn, I could just dip it in my luck. Oh, I don't know if I should dip in my luck, but I could just dip into my luck. You know what I mean? It's so fun. Other than that, the thing that I really wanted to talk about was sanity. We really didn't get to play with sanity because we were playing a one-shot, and so my sanity didn't slowly degrade like it does over a campaign. But holy crap, sanity in Call of Cthulhu is fleeting and runs away from you. You're not sane for very long. And I really feel like we should have rolled more sanity rolls than we actually did. If I ran Call of Cthulhu, I think sanity rolls would be the biggest roll that I rolled. But sanity rolls are so much fun. And losing sanity is scary because if you lose more than 5 points of sanity in a single round, in a single turn, then you actually like have something crazy happen to you. Like you have some kind of psychosis, like you can have paranoia or delusions or mania. There's like a whole list of delusions. I was looking at this list and I was reading this list and reading how they describe this list, and it's actually incredibly accurate. It's incredibly accurate to what happens to you whenever you are in psychosis in some degree. And it's very obvious to me from the way that they wrote this kind of stuff that not only did they study H.P. Lovecraft and Lovecraftian horror, but they also studied psychology and what happens to a person whenever they slowly lose their mind. I would imagine that they probably looked at people who like stop sleeping and stuff. That's what I kind of get from this, is it's a lot of like, oh, this is like what happens whenever you stop sleeping, and whenever you stop sleeping it becomes like psychotic and all this kind of stuff. But it is really, really good. I really enjoy the sanity rolls. I really enjoy the idea of slowly losing my mind and slowly becoming a crazy person. Like that's delicious to me. And definitely if I am in a campaign or if I run a campaign, that is going to be like a big plot point for me, because not only is that mechanical, that's also RP, and that's fun. Whenever you find a place to combine the two of them, that's fun. But overall, I would so super recommend, I would recommend Call of Cthulhu to anyone who can watch a horror movie or a horror video game. I actually don't think that I would recommend Call of Cthulhu to anyone who can't do horror, that horror makes them uncomfortable or squeamish or cry or whatever. I don't think that I would recommend this to those people. But if you can do horror, if you enjoy horror and you enjoy the slow descent into madness, that kind of stuff, I cannot recommend Call of Cthulhu enough. The mechanics are fantastic. The optics are fantastic. The world building is fantastic. And at the end of the day, it is such a specific type of horror that is really, really well done. And it is really delicious. So I really recommend Call of Cthulhu to anyone, to be completely honest. Not that it needs my recommendation because it's quite popular, but I really recommend Call of Cthulhu to literally anyone. I think that's going to do it for me. I don't want to take too much of your time talking about how exciting my adventures were, but they were very exciting. I super duper appreciate your time. If you made it this far, don't forget to subscribe, because that is something that maybe you might have forgotten to do or something. I don't know. I forget to subscribe to people all the time. I will be watching every single one of their videos, and then I'm like, wait a second, I'm not subscribed to you. So maybe subscribe if you have a chance. I love you oh so much. You're always welcome at my table. All the links will be down in the doobly-doo below, and I will tell you as soon as the video goes live of the Call of Cthulhu one-shot. I will tell you in a video and put the links in the doobly-doo. Okay? Okay. See you next week.